My left knee, out of the blue, made a pop sound and I couldn't walk back up the stairs that I just walked down. If you don't believe me, look up, oh, well, what you're saying makes sense if you're not bone on bone, and you're going to be in pain because you're not moving, because your muscles are wasting away. Hey, today I want to share 3 stories of people who have had bad knee pain as adults and who, despite their increasing age, have managed to get their knee pain better. So I'm going to share these 3 stories. I'm going to start off with one with the youngest person, and by the end, we're going to get to somebody who does qualify as old, and we're going to see how much change is possible when you have knee pain, even if you are a senior. So let's look at the first one. It's from Suzette. She actually sent this in an email to me, and she said, recently, about 2 weeks ago, I happened upon your channel, Upright Health. I just turned 49 and I have very bad knees. She tore her ACL in the left knee at 23, and at 35, she tore the ACL in the other knee during karate. At the age of 41, my left knee, out of the blue, made a pop sound and I couldn't walk back up the stairs that I just walked down. Again, surgery number 3. So, 7 years later, she says, I am still in pain, still not able to move around, and that caused her to put on 75 pounds, which has led to a bunch of health issues. So she says, I had truly given up, convincing myself the problem was my age and now my weight. That was on till about 2 weeks ago when I stumbled on how to strengthen your knees or knee strengthening videos on Upright Health. And then I went on to watch others. In the space, okay, pay attention here. This is somebody who's blown out both knees, had multiple surgeries, is in her late 40s. Okay, she says, in the space of a little over 1 week of following your videos, I have gone from being barely able to stand long enough to make a simple cup of coffee to being able to walk on my treadmill for 10 minutes before the pain set in, to 2 days after that being able to walk 12 minutes with no pain. Now to this morning being able to sit crisscross applesauce pain-free. I can't for the life of me figure out why I've never seen your stuff before, but I'm so happy and so grateful that I have now. I'm not exaggerating when I say you have not only changed my life, but you have given me my life back. Saying thank you will never be enough, but thank you. So Suzette, thank you for taking the time to write this message and sharing your story. I hope that it's going to be inspiring to somebody else out there who's in their 30s and 40s and the doctor has told them 600 different ways that, well, sorry, your knee pain is just because you're old. I've heard that. I started hearing that in my 20s and I immediately thought it was total, absolute poppycock. And so I just didn't listen to it. And then I managed to fix my knee by exercising and strengthening the muscles and stretching and making sure my hip muscles were functioning. And so Suzette just used my YouTube videos about strengthening the knee and making your knee muscles a little bit stronger. And she's doing amazingly well in her late 40s. And like I said, she is the youngest person in all the stories I'm about to share with you today. So I don't care how old you are, if you're saying to yourself, oh, my knee pain, my knee pain, my knee pain. Well, the first one is from Peter Tan Tiong Ping. And I don't actually have his age. I just know he looks older than me. And he says, I have bone-on-bone knee joint and had suffered stiffness and pain. After following your advice to strengthen my muscles for about 2 weeks, my knees are stronger. I can do deep squats and the pain is gone. I can also walk downstairs naturally. Thank you for teaching me to ATM. Now, what does ATM mean? Pop quiz. ATM means always think muscles, right? So he has a bone-on-bone knee joint. And this is something I get messages about all the time. Commenters will constantly say stuff like, oh, well, what you're saying makes sense if you're not bone on bone, but if you're bone on bone, everything you're saying is bad for you. Well, guess what? There is actually no evidence that that's true. There have been multiple studies done on the hip joint and the knee joint that show that bone on bone doesn't actually correlate with pain. There are people walking around all the time with bone on bone joints and they have no pain and no movement problems. So yes, you could be bone on bone, but you could still be moving just fine. This is This is one of those myths. It sounds extremely plausible. Like many medical myths, it sounds extremely plausible and it leads you to a solution that is terrible. So you got to always check to see whether or not what you're hearing actually adds up and whether it's going to be a productive theory. And this whole theory of like, oh, bone on bone means you can't make any improvement. It just means you're going to be helpless. You're going to rely on a doctor to just give you more pills, or you're just going to take more over-the-counter medications, or you can take really strong pain pills, which will then get you addicted to them and actually put you in more pain. If you don't believe me, look up opioid-induced hyperalgesia and find out what that is. Because when you take pain pills too much, guess what happens? You actually start experiencing more pain, and then you need more pills. Not fun. Which is why I say don't get caught in RIPS, rest ice injection pills and surgery. All right, so final story is from somebody who is 63 years old. Hey, I just want to say thank you to Barry Crawford for the $50 donation via YouTube Super Thanks. Thank you so much for supporting me and this channel. If you want to support this channel too, go to uprighthealth.com/donate to see all the super easy options, or use the buttons on YouTube like join and thanks. And while you're at uprighthealth.com, I encourage you to get my free course, The Body Rebuilding Basics. It's totally free, and it also includes follow along workouts to help you rebuild your body at home. So I hope you get it. It is awesome. And if you haven't already, please subscribe here wherever you're watching me. If it's here on YouTube or on Rumble or wherever, I appreciate it. It really helps. Now let's get back to it. So this is from Jim Zenor 9148. And he says, I Googled knee pain and running and came across your channel. After watching several videos, you inspired me that maybe resting my knee wasn't a good solution. And he said he's been resting it for a few years. Anyway, I worked at strengthening my knees, and for the last month, I have been able to run 3 to 4 times a week. I'm 63, so I'm not as fast as I used to be, but I ran 4 miles yesterday, and 3 to 4 miles is typical and very little to no pain during my run. For me, it was like being freed because I love to run, so I can't thank you enough. Jim, thank you for writing that comment. You wrote it actually, it looks like a year ago, so sorry it took me so long to see it. But again, 63 years old, Jim is showing you the power of just thinking about the muscles. He is showing you exactly what happens when you just sit around and hope it gets better. This whole notion that just resting is going to make your injuries feel better is really misguided, because what happens when you sit around on your butt? Your muscles atrophy. And what happens when you get a bunch of muscle atrophy? You get atrophy-induced immobility. In addition, you get aching because atrophy aches. If you sit in a bed all year, do you think you're going to feel amazing when you get out of bed? No, you're not. You are going to be stiff and you're going to be in pain because you're not moving, because your muscles are wasting away, and it's a totally natural response for your body to say, oh, ouch, 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 let's get out of here. We can't stay in this bed all the time. So Jim, at 63, managed to get back to running 3 to 4 miles 3 to 4 times a week, which is awesome, right? So, oh, sorry, I might be misquoting that. He's running 3 to 4 times a week. And yesterday when he was writing me, he said 4 miles yesterday. And 3 to 4 miles is typical for him. So maybe he's doing 2 miles some days and other days he's doing 3 to 4. Who knows? It doesn't matter. The point is he is running at the age of 63 when he thought he was crippled and unable to run for the rest of his life, because I'm sure somebody with the best of intentions told him, hey, you know, when you have knee pain and you're old, it's because you're old. Therefore, there is no solution to this other than giving up running. Whereas I'm saying, hey, let's not get trapped in the physically feeble fallacy, and let's actually think about using those muscles so those muscles can move you so that you feel good, so that those muscles feel right, that you feel functional. I have actually created a course that is totally free. I'm not trying to sell you anything. There is a free course that's on my website. If you go to my website, you can check out the Body Rebuilding Basics program, BRB. All right, get it? BRB. And in it, I just go through all of the major flaws in medical thinking, all the traps that you're going to find as you are trying to fix and rebuild your body. And I just lay them all out for you. There's a cheat sheet, so it runs down everything, ATM, the physically feeble, fallacy, rips, all those things, they're all in that course. Plus, there's a bunch of workouts in there that you can use for free. Again, these are all for free for you to help rebuild your body. So I encourage you to check it out. You go to uprighthealth.com and it'll help you rebuild your body at home. Just get the free course there. Thank you so much for watching. If you have knee pain, check out the links down below for the links to the video that I'm mentioning here, for links to the course, and for other links to help you with your knee pain or your hip pain or whatever it is. Again, I don't care how old you are. You got to keep moving because atrophy aches, man. Drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you thought about these stories. Subscribe, and as always, I hope you remember that pain sucks. Life shouldn't.